10864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
This is back out for a three. Left wing is good.
Deep to right field at the warning track. See ya.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
At the buzzer.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now, and it's really fun to be a part of.
Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Huge win for Oregon.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Welcome to the show. Oregon football head coach Dan Lanning just wrapped up talking with the media. That's coming up later on the show. Also, Oregon softball head coach Melyssa Lombardi going to join us. A tough weekend at the J, and the Ducks, though, getting back to work, hitting the road out to Arizona, a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series for Oregon softball. Duck baseball, same, but they're going to Seattle Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's the plan ahead for Oregon athletics. A lot to talk about, including Nyara Sabally to the Liberty. Reuniting with Sabrina Ionescu, a pretty cool story. We'll tell you more about that. Acrobatics and tumbling, they are in the national championship meet, which will be here in Eugene. Men's golf at the Western Intercollegiate right now. We also talked running backs, and we begin today's show with H.J. Cohn. We end today's show with H.J. Cohn.
Oh, geez.
Show is yours.
Tough segue in there for me. All right, so we want to talk about Nyara. What a wonderful debut for her in the WNBA, getting drafted 5th overall. I believe the last time her and Sabrina played together is 3 years ago due to injuries and COVID and Sabrina going pro. So certainly excited for them and what Coach Graves has built.
You could host the show.
Keep going.
I'm dead serious. You're on it. Let's go. What's
Keep
next?
going.
What's
Come
next on the show today?
Go.
Season tickets for football. We can talk about that. We also are going to talk about the spring game in all seriousness. This is a really big day, Duck Day, as we've been calling it. So many events going on. It really is a celebration coming up on April 23rd.
Yeah, Duck Weekend, I would even call it. I mean, there's just so much going on, and what we're trying to do is continue to provide and thank you to Pac-12 and TV as well for accommodating some movement of game times in TV, because wanting to allow fans to really take in as much as they can. For us, it's certainly a big day every year when you have the spring game, but the benefits that PK Park sees, Hayward might see, is those fans showing up for other meets, and especially those out-of-towners who really make an effort. I know a lot of people always think, it's 7 Saturdays. Well, it's a lot more than that. We have season ticket holders in all sports that are coming over the hill from Bend or down from Portland or Southern Oregon, wherever it may be. And so for them to take in a full weekend or a day to see multiple sports is hopefully really efficient and fun.
H.J. Cohn, Senior Associate Athletic Director, Duck Athletic Fund. I do want to talk a little bit about football season tickets. Dates and updates fans should know. I've hit on them on the show, but it means a lot more coming from you.
Yeah, I guess most recently was Georgia. We went on sale last week with our Georgia ticket allotment. We had call it a 6,000 seat allotment after you factor in and you take out the holds, which we use internally for student athletes and coaches and staff. We didn't have a ton. We had a little under 5,000. Went through those with donors and season ticket holders to start, and they really scooped them all up. And so we're still working through some of that. But for the most part, strong presence we should expect in Atlanta September 3rd, which we're excited about. I think I talked about it last time. The thing I'm most excited about is obviously you have a Georgia fan base that is big, coming off a pretty big year, as we all know, with Coach Lanning coming from Georgia and winning the national championship. And then the Oregon brand, I think, excites their fans too. So no surprise, they're going to turn out fan-wise. For us, though, I would say, and again, our season ticket holders and donor base really took advantage and scooped up all the tickets. And then when you factor in the secondary market and what the national brand that we have at Oregon will do, we really expect to see a really good presence there for a fun game.
We talked about this last time, and I think it's worth hitting again, that it's a chance. There aren't very many games that are in that time zone that Oregon's playing in, right? So for fans that are on the East Coast, that are maybe around the Georgia state a little closer than the state of Oregon. That's a cool opportunity for them.
Yeah, we got fans obviously all over and alumni all over, but I would say that the most recent two that stick out that we continue to see great support outside of our ticket allotment that we get for those games was Ohio State, obviously, but dating back to Virginia, I think that was 2013 off the top of my head. Michigan State, we had a good turnout, so we're really, really fortunate. That's not only the case on those non-conference games. And when we travel in conference, we have the best traveling fans in the conference, bar none. I mean, we have such a good presence at these away stadiums, which really does impact the game. You know, you go to some of these venues and they might not have the best home attendance, and when you have the Duck fans there, you can hear it. It's loud and clear, especially with hopefully the good performances we're putting on. So, again, Atlanta, I expect a great turnout and showing of Duck fans, which will be key for hopefully going down there and getting a win.
Yeah, that's a big game. Starts out with a bang, doesn't it? The storylines are, well, they're plenty, right? You get Dan Lanning getting to go back to the state of Georgia to play his former team. I mean, I feel like there's going to be such national buzz about this game. That's cool. You want to play in those games.
Yeah, I think so. I think also the temperament of our team and the mindset Coach Lanning has brought in, I think, and expect our team to be ready for that game.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people think, oh, it's going to be a fun trip and go and play in the defending national champions Mercedes-Benz Dome. That's all fun. It's a business trip for those guys. And I think a lot of people don't realize how much preparation goes in right now in the spring.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly we're still months and months away, but the preparation for that game and the season begins so much earlier than people realize. Same thing with basketball. I think Coach Altman talked about it, about how their summer was kind of taken away in their spring last year,
right.
And that had a real impact on the season. And that's the same case across all sports, and particularly football. So we're excited. I can certainly tell you there's a buzz amongst fans about that game that started picking up in the last couple weeks. You got spring game coming up, which should be a really big one for us, not only to see talent on the field and kind of get that itch for Oregon football back, but also to a big recruiting weekend for a lot of sports.
More on the spring game in just a second. I think it's worth pointing out that, you know, the national buzz and what's going on in practice, you know, we can all sit here and talk about that, but I'll just tell you all that today in practice it was a 4-minute drill and a 2-minute drill, and, well, the offense won one and the defense won the other, and that's exactly what you're talking about. I mean, that's the way that it's working right now in practice.
Have you seen a big change in practice? I mean, you're around practice a lot more than I am, and I don't know how much you want to say on that, but philosophically about how a practice is ran?
It is a little different. Just philosophically, yes. Like the drill order, for example, like the practice script, if you will, it is
right.
a little bit different. The most, I think, obvious thing for people that are at practice is that the head coach has a microphone and will just pull the microphone out of his back pocket and stop practice or command practice how he needs. That's what Coach Lanning's doing.
Yeah.
That I had not seen before.
Yeah.
And
well,
cool.
I know when talking to him, a big piece of what he – and this goes back to when he was younger and his education background is teaching.
Always.
And it's really interesting because he's even described it as, you know, teaching his own kids, 10, 12, 13 years old, all the way to student athletes at this level, 18 to 23-year-olds and beyond. And so I think it's really interesting, the emphasis on teaching. And he really puts a point of emphasis on it, as we talked about. But also, it's not that much different of how he teaches, different ages, different positions. It's really cool to see him tie that educational background and apply it to football.
I agree with you. My wife is a teacher. I've talked about that before.
Guilty.
And a phrase that she often uses is lifelong learner, right? Like they want kids to feel like they're lifelong learners. I feel like Coach Lanning is a lifelong learner. The way that he talks about how he himself always looks inward to get better. I love that for a coach, right? Like I feel like if you don't operate that way in any profession, you're probably not reaching your potential because you're going to plateau, you're going to stagnate, right?
Yeah.
And Coach Lanning, I can just tell you, the way that he talks in practice and publicly to the media, he's that way. And
yeah.
You love that.
No, we're really excited. Obviously, it's been, he's kind of transitioned now and got a recruiting cycle under his belt, even though it was cut off short. I mean, we obviously can't speak on specific names, but certainly a good week last week, and
let's just
continuing
say that
momentum.
Let's just say the duck emoji tweet was a good one.
Absolutely, and I think I've seen recently they're continuing to add some more guys to the roster, potentially more local guys, which is exciting to see. So overall, just where I was gonna give him a hard time. The program is heading is in a good spot, and as we continue to look forward to Georgia, I think everyone's circling that, the national attention that's going to be put on that game, the storytelling with Coach Lanning in Georgia and coming over. It's really, really exciting and time for Oregon football.
H.J. Cohn joining us. So let's go back to the spring game, Duck Weekend, as you called it. It's really cool, I think, to to have a celebration of Oregon football and the fans, because to me that's kind of what the spring game is. Ultimately it's a practice. It's one of 15 practices, and the Ducks are going to utilize it in a way to get better. They're also, though, I will tell you all, in the fourth quarter, going to do a lot of fan interaction type stuff and getting a couple legends back to call plays, as you and I talked about last time you were on, H. I mean, that's a cool deal. But I really feel like this is a day for the fans. Like, this is a celebration for the fans. It's a celebration of the community, the partnership with Food for Lane County. That's a big focus, too.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the partnership with Food for Lane County we've had for years, and it's absolutely been critical, especially the last few years. There's been a pretty big shortage, is my understanding. And so for us to be able to partner with them, I know one of this event for them is a big one that they circle on their calendars. I'm certainly looking for canned food and donations and whatnot. So for them, it's really big. To your point on the fans, it is exciting for us. I mean, I look at, and even us living here in Eugene, we have 7 home games. Typically we have 6 this upcoming season, but typically 7 home football games. And it's a lot to be here physically on those days, right? But the emotional connection of going through a football season. And last season, I'll just call it what I was hearing from friends, family, supporters, and so forth, was in a very emotional season. You'd look up and we're top 15 in the country and have 2 losses or 1 loss, and fans didn't feel that way. And so it is a toll. And where I'm going with that is that season ends, you kind of get your win back, and then spring game comes and they're like, I'm ready to go again.
Right.
Like, Oregon football's back. I'm excited again. You get the buzz. And I feel that same way. I'm really, really excited to get people into Autzen and what we will call a normal setting versus what it's been the last couple years. See a lot of new things potentially. I mean, this is going to be a lot of changes offensively, defensively, overall. So, again, spring game weekend, I am super excited for our fans, for our student athletes, coaches, staff. It'll be fun.
Honoring servicemen and women as well. That is returning. I've had a lot of people ask about that.
Yep, absolutely. Another partnership we've had a lot to do with and have enjoyed a lot. Kudos to Jeff Hawkins. He's does a lot behind the scenes with that group and has done a great job. And I know it means a lot to them. So don't want to give away everything, but there's going to be a lot of unique engagement opportunities, like you said, potentially in the fourth quarter, but a lot of our former student athletes, football players coming back, and then just engaging the fans.
Broadcast 1 o'clock. I will be running around on the sidelines, and there will, let's just say, not be a shortage of things for me to talk about from the sideline while Jerry and Jorgie are on the call for what is going to be a football game, right? I know a lot of fans always ask, well, how's it going to go? What's it going to look like? This is going to be, the plan is this is going to be a football game, at least for the first few quarters.
Yeah, that's all I've heard is that they really plan to utilize this as an in-game setting with the fans. Certainly want to have some fun, but this is another chance to evaluate guys as we enter the non-spring season where we can't have official practices again. So if this is going to be 14 to 15, I believe they're going to have a practice after the spring game, probably fine-tune some things up after watching film. But for the most part, this is a real chance for them to showcase in an in-game-like setting.
Right. And you know, Coach Lanning said that on Saturday, their first scrimmage of the spring, they repped about 90, 100 plays. So that gives you an idea. Like, that's in a practice. This is now a similar type of situation. So 90 to 100 plays sounds like a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, and again, there's going to be a lot of new stuff. There's always a narrative, right? I mean, it's no secret. There's a lot of topic or talk on the quarterback situation, right? There's excitement around the running backs, and there's excitement around, you know, I'll use a guy like Justin Flo, who had a lot coming in, had a great first game, gets injured, and hasn't seen the field a whole lot. So there's enough narratives out there each year to get people excited.
I got to get a timeout. H.J. Cohn's with us. H is always a wealth of information. And thanks for, by the way, I do want to take people inside the show. We actually swapped athletic directors. H was going to go next week. We were going to do big spring game hype up. But Lisa had something come up, Lisa Peterson, so H was kind enough to swap. So I want to say thanks for doing that.
Awesome. Happy to be here.
His exact quote was, happy to help. That might be you in a nutshell.
No,
like that might be
I think I jabbed Lisa, too, in there somewhere, but I like that you left that out.
But I did leave that out on purpose. God. Here we are again. But
honest.
I feel like your subheader on your resume would be that, like, happy to help, ... with a jab. That might be your resume subheader.
You got to have fun.
Yeah, that's H.J. Cohn in a nutshell. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about men's golf, some other football updates, and then we've got a hard-hitting question for H.J. You knew I had to bring one for you.
Oh, boy.
Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Money isn't interested in the fact that you dream of going to Greece, and it doesn't pace at night wondering how you'll pay for braces 3 times. The point is, money without people is just money. Only people can use it to run the family ranch, buy their first house, or adopt a happy old dog. To us, the powerful thing about money isn't money at all. It's helping you harness the power of yours. On Point. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack and H.J. Cohn joining us in the Country Financial Studio. Hey, but we were talking about football tickets. I am curious, H, just we can talk all we want about how football season tickets are really important. Everybody knows the importance financially to the team, to the team's win-losses for a home field advantage at Autzen Stadium. But I do want to hit on that a little bit, just the excitement level around the team, season tickets. Fans, I think, are always wondering, like, well, do I really need to get season tickets? But because I can maybe find them on an individual game basis, but it kind of feels like maybe this is a year where, yeah, you might want to get season tickets for some of these big games.
I would say it feels different. I mean, I've been here, 12 years now, and I would say this one certainly feels a little bit different. I think it's a number of reasons. You got one, I would say, that Coach Lanning has brought some excitement. There's no other way to put it. I've heard from friends who are huge supporters, from alumni that live in New York City that just follow it from afar.
Yeah.
And the way they described it is like there's just something about him that he's gotten me excited again. And, again, that's not a knock on any previous regime. It's more just a kudos to Coach Lanning. I think some of that, again, it worked out really well. He got national coverage to win the national championship. It was basically a free commercial for Oregon Athletics and the new head coach at Oregon with him. And so I would say the way the defense played in those two games was exciting, not only for fans, but even for our student athletes and recruiting and so forth. So I think that's certainly one bucket. Another one is, as we hopefully continue to come out of COVID or the pandemic, the excitement to get back to live events is certainly there. We all know that TV provides a great opportunity for those that want to be there, but there's also something that Autzen provides that you can't get at home, and that game day atmosphere and the parking lot that it provides, singing shout that it provides. There's those things at game day that you really can't recreate at home. And so I think some of this lost socializing at a game day is certainly adding to some of that as well. So between those two, I would say, and then what we've really tried to do over the last couple of years is provide different price points for people to get in.
Yes.
I know we're not 20 years ago, we don't have the family 4-pack. I recognize that, and we've continued to change. But what we have tried to do is provide opportunities for price points all over the stadium that are still great seats, and you're there on the property experiencing the excitement in stadium. So, again, all those things added up, I would say, and kudos to Brandon Schwartz and our outside sales team with Ticket Solutions. They've done a great job creating opportunities for season tickets, creating opportunities to provide for service members to go to a game if you can't go and you want to provide that, creating opportunities for groups to come in, and really creating this unique atmosphere at Autzen that we've all come to love.
It's a big deal. Having different price points, I mean, I'm here for that. I mean, that just makes so much sense.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the ticketing side, and John Sargent's done a great job with concessions, creating a value plan at some levels. And so, again, trying to find all these little things, and when you add all those little things up, we hope to provide a good opportunity. I understand the challenges that we faced last year in Autzen. Labor shortage was certainly one of them. We're aware of that. The Mo Center not being open, I think we do have plans to reopen that this year. Sorry if I blew that, Mike Duncan, but we do have plans to try and get back to our what we all used to know and love pre-pandemic of Autzen Stadium and that game day tradition and pageantry that college football is all about.
Well, I think that's great news for fans. I mean, fans are wondering. And that's, H, you're in a position, because you just summed it up right there, right? So H is the one that is taking all of this, all these different groups, and you're trying to make that game day experience. I mean, that's what you're doing every day, right? Like
I'm a small part of it. I wouldn't say that. I'm a very, very small part of it. We have a number of people on staff in tons of areas.
But
between
you're very
marketing.
aware of it.
Well, certainly, because I'm involved with season ticket holders and donors, just like a lot of people are, but it's a total team effort. And when you think about all the ideas coming into play and you throw it in the hat and what does it create, or throw it in the blender, you got to create something good. And I think something good is also being aware and being adaptable and ready to change. And whether that's bringing in something new, a new tradition, or keeping an old one, trying something new. If it doesn't work, that's okay. We tried and we know. But for us, you talked about it earlier, football creates about 70% of our revenue for our overall budget and provides for all sports, all student athletes at a high level. And so when you're supporting football, you're supporting every student athlete. You're supporting the University of Oregon, which I like to look at as the front door to the house. I mean, athletics, as we know, and we've been really lucky and fortunate to have this partnership with Nike for years, and started years and years and years ago to basically be the front porch or the front door to a wonderful institution, an institution that has continued to climb in the AAU rankings and so forth. And so when you look at it, really starts with leadership, and we've been fortunate to have President Schill for a number of years now after we'd gone through some presidents. And all the way down in our area, Rob Mullen's been here for a number of years as well. And so when you factor all of that in to focus on what we're trying to do is to provide a exceptional student-athlete experience for all of our sports and all of our student-athletes, and the resources to compete and engage our alumni, it's really fun times.
But you're a big part of that. That's all I was saying.
Oh, you're kind.
Not really. You know better than that.
You're genuine, generous, something like that. Genuine's a stretch.
H.J. Cohn is joining us. Men's golf, they're in the middle of yesterday's round, by the way.
Windstorm, holy cow.
Nobody in the field at the Western Intercollegiate shot par. Everybody was over par. The Ducks are back on the course today. We'll have updates for you later on. But just a quick check-in on the Jake. For fans that aren't aware, the Jake is coming. A pretty state-of-the-art facility for men's and women's golf.
Yeah, very exciting time. So on that front, Oregon's become known as this facility montage in college athletics, and we're going to continue to ride that train. And what we're going to ultimately do is we're building a golf facility for both men's and women's golf programs down at Emerald Valley. We're out there actively fundraising for it, but also in the process, and again, Justin Fisher on our staff is really leading that charge from a day-to-day standpoint and getting that off the ground, and fortunate enough to be looking really good going ahead over the course of the next year.
Love it. Absolutely love it. By the way, women's golf next week hosting the Pac-12 championships at Eugene Country Club. Got a pretty good chance to win it. We're going to talk with Derek Radley on the show actually coming up later this week. That's been fun watching these two golf programs together. All right, so I'm going to ask you something that's a little bit wild, and I think that you'll appreciate it. Yesterday it made the rounds on Twitter, and it was basically just a tweet like, hey, share your most boring way of articulating your best sports moment. So in other words, like a sports moment that comes to mind for you, but you got to say it in the most boring way possible. What comes to mind for you?
For Oregon?
For anything. For you? Do you want me to tell you what mine was so that you can get an idea?
Kind of coach me here.
All right. So mine for this, describe the best sports moment you've ever witnessed in the most boring way possible. For me, it was a guy from Eugene sunk a putt in Eugene. It's a pretty good one,
Strong.
Right? Yeah. Anything come to mind? I'm putting you on the spot. I didn't let H think about this ahead of time.
I'll come up with something. Wiping sweat and doing laundry while sitting on the floor of college basketball games.
Yeah, that's
just going back to the manager days.
That sounds about right. Yeah, going back to the manager days.
No, I mean when you think about it, back then we had a great group of managers, great coaching staff, and players as well who were keep in touch with a lot of them. But ultimately, the job was to you're there for the job, and as much as it is easy to get caught up in the moment when there's a game-winning shot. UCLA, Aaron Brooks, up at Washington State, we had a double overtime. Marty played really well that game. But ultimately, as shots are going in and you're trying to win a game, the pizza boxes better be ready for the ball boys. You better have post-game meals ready. You better have the water bottles and Gatorade bottles with their numbers on them and who needs it, so they're not cramping in double overtime. I mean, like that's what you're there for. And so I look back at some of those memories, and some people might say, wiping up sweat and doing laundry till 2 a.m. doesn't sound fun. It was the best times ever and really set me on a path to be where I am today and at the home of my alma mater, which I'm so grateful for.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Just, wiping up sweat and doing laundry.
I couldn't put that in one tweet, so I'm glad you asked me on air.
There you go.
Not that I tweet, but anyways.
You tweet occasionally. Yeah. When you tweet, it matters.
The last tweets was all about, food, so we won't go down that path.
Well, and that was a great conversation, H. I mean, that is still one of the most listened to segments of Duck Insider ever.
That's
sad.
Unfortunate. Sad at many levels.
I said it. If you could have only 5 condiments for the rest of your life, only 5, what would they be? The debate that really just sparked, a lot of things for you and I.
I think when it's downtime, you get Coach Lanning on, or you can put him on the spot on there.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I thought that was a fun way, though, to think about it, because I did the same thing that you did. I kind of looked inward, man, what are some of the best moments that we've all been around? And the fact that I had to, start figuring out which one I could describe in a way that would be the most fun in that way, that says a lot about where Oregon athletics is and what people like you and I get a chance to do for a living. It's pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I mean, I look back, there's so many memories as a whole, and whether you talk about, you kind of referenced and I kind of referenced outcomes of games certainly is a big way to describe those feelings. But when you look at, and I kind of talked about it, the pageantry of college football or the relationships that you build outside of wins and losses. I bet if you ask coaches that, wins and losses are great, but the impact you have when a former student athlete, and you were talking 30 years after they played here, and how they're doing, how their family's being raised, what the coaches meant to them, and the way that it's played out in their life, and it all ties back to their 4 years here, 3 years, whatever it may be. I'd say coaches and staff members get more out of that. I mean, Herb Yamanaka is the best example. The relationships and meaningful ways that he's impacted the friendships he's formed, and then also what he's done to move the university and the athletic department over decades and decades is unbelievable.
But just by the way, I want to. This makes a lot of sense. One of H's last tweets was actually a retweet of Peter Jacobson. That tracks.
I love him. He's a good man. He's known me since I was 7th grade. So
7th grade.
He was my old basketball coach.
All right.
Yeah.
What'd you learn from him?
How to ride the bench.
H.J. Cohn, Senior Associate Athletic Director. Anything else that fans should know?
Love you, Jake. No, spring game weekend coming up. We're obviously looking forward to that. And then as you look forward to May, June, July, there's just a lot happening. Yeah. We talked about it during the break. I can put just Hayward Field into one bucket with all the events that are coming to Eugene this spring and summer. You got baseball and softball tracking, men's and women's golf tracking. There's a lot of sports coming up into postseason. And then some external events for via the Duck Athletic Fund and the golf tournament. So when you factor all that in, as we're starting to get into late spring and early summer, there's a lot of ways that people can engage in person from afar and supporting your Ducks.
H.J. Cohn, Senior Associate Athletic Director, thanks for what you do. Thanks for the time.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to get a timeout. When we come back, Melyssa Lombardi is going to join us, Oregon softball head coach, and also Nyara Sabally to the Liberty, and Dan Lanning loading his interview from after practice into the system as we speak. More coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, our all-inclusive event pricing allows us to take care of all of the details while you enjoy your event. Our wedding garden, expansive grounds, ballroom, and meeting rooms can accommodate any size event and come complete with full catering and service staff. From weddings to business and social events, Shadow Hills offers the benefits of a resort atmosphere and the peace of a country setting just minutes from downtown Eugene. For more details, call us today or go to shadowhillsevents.com.
Money isn't interested in the fact that you dream of going to Greece, and it doesn't pace at night wondering how you'll pay for braces 3 times. The point is, money without people is just money. Only people can use it to run the family ranch, buy their first house, or adopt a happy old dog. To us, the powerful thing about money isn't money at all. It's helping you harness the power of yours. On Point. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s, like go back to college, learn to skateboard. Whoa. Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. At aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a free 3-minute chat with the friendly digital retirement coach, Avo, and receive personalized tips to help boost your savings. Start chatting with Avo today at aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Joining us via Zoom, head coach Melyssa Lombardi, Oregon softball. Okay, I got to take everybody inside the show a little bit. Coach, when Mother Nature dumps on you a little bit, that means that the practice schedule has to change. And so, Coach, take fans inside the process for you today. You're over at the Jane, and it kind of messes up the schedule a little bit, doesn't it?
It does. We got a little bit of weather today, and so I'm in the Jane right now doing bullpens inside. So thank goodness that we've got unbelievable resources, because it allows me to still continue with what we need to continue. We just have to go earlier.
And then she's still kind enough to join us. The beauty of modern technology. So thanks, Coach, for taking the time. All right, weekend review. I always start here. Look back before we look ahead, Coach. Would have liked to get some wins, some close games at the Jane. Give us your breakdown from the coaching staff.
For sure. I thought we played hard. We put up enough runs. It's just us holding the opponent down. You know, we would put up runs and then we would give them back. So it's just being able to put up runs on the board and then be solid on the mound, be solid on defense, and take care of our business.
It's easier said than done, but it feels like you guys are close, Coach. Is that kind of how you guys feel as a team to putting together that complete game?
Yes, we are. We're very close. I mean, we've seen it, you know, in different parts of our season. So it's just right now being in the pack, this is where you got to put it together in each game, each weekend. So it's growing, you know, it's growth. I hate to lose, and I know our team hates to lose, but I know we've got some things that we took away from it that I think are going to aid us into this weekend at Arizona.
Some of those takeaways on a positive note, I want to start with your offense, Coach. I mean, you had 4 players on the weekend that hit, or 3 players, that hit over 400 and a number that hit over 300. The offense seems to be clicking with some individuals for you.
Yeah, for sure. They're swinging the bat well. I love what they're doing at the plate.
It's been a few weeks since I've asked you about Hannah Delgado. I wanted to ask you about her as an individual, hitting over 400 this weekend. She was one of them.
Yeah, it was good to see her. You could see her kind of get back into what we know that she can do this weekend with, you know, driving the ball through the outfield, but then chopping with a slap and getting, you know, infield base hits. So I love how versatile she is and just has that triple threat when she's at the plate.
She's one of the examples of the way that you guys have utilized the speed game. We've touched on it this year, but I want to go into an actual stat for you for fans. You guys are 64 for 76 stealing bases. What's your, what's a good percentage? Right? Like, what are you looking for in terms of your stolen base percentage to where you're happy as a coach?
I mean, I'm happy if we swipe them all, but I feel like that's a pretty good statistic right there.
I'll take that. I was just curious, Coach, like, you know, numbers matter in a sport like softball. We talk about it so much, but I feel like when you're stealing bases at a rate of 84% success, like, do you think about that as a staff heading into a year? Like, what's kind of your baseline of, like, this is where we'll take it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what it does in times where we need to move our runner over, we don't have to sacrifice a hitter for a bunt. It allows us to straight steal and move them to second, and now that same hitter drive them in versus that hitter giving themselves up, which is fine. There's times where we have to give ourselves up and just put the bunt down. But if we can do it in that manner, I would definitely rather do it that way.
And your opponents have only stolen 17 bases against you guys. I mean, that's quite the ratio, Coach. I mean, just how impressive is that from your chair?
Impressive. I think Val and I think Tara have done a really good job of holding the opponent on base. So again, now you hold them to first, a base hit moves them up to second versus they get to second, with a stolen base, a base hit, they score.
You touched on Tara McGowan. We saw her hitting a little lower in the batting order for you guys this weekend, Coach, hitting in that cleanup spot I saw. And Tara McGowan I feel like fans want to know just the progression. She seems like she's getting more and more comfortable for you back out there.
Yes, she's healed and she's ready to go. It's just her getting back and getting at bats and getting time, behind the plate and playing games. I mean, she's been out since our second weekend.
Yeah.
It's third weekend in February she's been out.
That's wild. Thinking about just the timeline, because we're sitting here talking on April 12th. Game reps are important, right, Coach?
Yep. For sure. Can't get enough.
Yeah. Rachel Sid, we've touched on her before, Coach, over the last couple of weeks, continuing to be consistent for you with the bat and Pac-12 play.
Yeah, I love what she's doing at the plate. We need that. That's what Rachel Sid is all about, is producing at the plate for us and giving us good power. So I just want her to continue with what she's doing. I love it.
On the mound, Stevie Hanson, Coach. Give us your breakdown of what you saw from Stevie. I thought some real bright spots from her this weekend.
For sure. I just thought total guts and grit on the mound. I love how she, I love her presence on the mound. I don't feel her as a freshman when she's on the mound. I feel her as an elder. She wants to win and she understands game plans. And I really like how she's going about it.
Melyssa Lombardi joining us, Oregon softball head coach. What's next for the entire pitching staff, Coach? What do you want to see from them down the rest of the season?
I think it's just what we've done before. It's just being able to manage our counts and change speeds. I think when we've gotten into trouble, we just haven't done those two things. But I think you're going to see that from this team. The pack is tough, and you're gonna hit some lows with it. But I think those lows is what allows you to really understand what you need to do moving forward. And that's what I expect to see from these guys.
I feel like it's so easy for us to sit here and break down a schedule, right, like we always do. And you guys are still playing the sixth toughest schedule in the country, some of the top offenses in the country. I mean, I feel like I could ask you this every week, Coach, but battle-tested, right? I mean, you guys are battle-tested at this point.
Yeah, for sure. We just got to keep moving forward. And, these games that we're in and we're just falling short, it's understanding how to finish those games and get the win.
How does things change when you've got a Thursday road game, Coach? I know that the week gets a little bit compressed with the Easter holiday this weekend.
Yeah. One, I appreciate that we don't play on Easter. I think our athletes do as well. It gives them time to spend with their families. Two, I think the biggest thing that we can do right now is to practice today, to travel tomorrow, and to get right back on the field and play. I think sometimes that's the best antidote, is just to get right back on the field.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Like, sometimes you want a midweek game, don't you? Yeah. Like, you just want one of those. A couple more minutes here with Melyssa Lombardi at Arizona. What's the scouting report, Coach? What can you tell fans about them?
I think Arizona, they've got good power. They've got some athletes that can do the short game as well. So I think it's just about, again, our pitchers managing their counts, keeping the ball in the park, our defense really being solid against their offense, which I trust. I think our defense has been great all year. And then our hitters just continuing to hit the ball hard and come up clutch, when we have opportunity to take those opportunities.
5 o'clock, noon, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Oregon softball schedule for the week on the road against Arizona. Coach, I did want to go beyond the field for you for just a moment, because you guys will have 10 college graduates on the squad by the end of the summer, which is the majority of the roster when you really think about it. 3 have already earned their degrees in Tara, Brooke, and Jordan for your squad. Just what does that mean to you as a coach, for student athletes? I mean, you have a number of student athletes that have just, let's just say, blown the student part of the relationship with the university out of the water, I think.
Yeah. There's a reason why they're student and then they're athletes. And what I think it just shows, they obviously, you see their commitment on the softball field, but what this does is I think it allows you to see the commitment that they have academically and in the classroom. And I'm proud of every one of them. The most important thing that they can do here while they are here is get their degree. And then if they have their opportunity to get their master's as well, then let's do it. But that's the most important thing that they can do. I think at the end of the day, the lights turn out for everybody. It's just when, they're going to turn off. So from there, it's being able to go to that degree for the next chapter of your life. So I'm very proud of all of them.
That's great. Melyssa Lombardi, Oregon softball head coach. Coach, I'll leave you with this. What else fans want to know? What else you want to say to fans? I mean, it's here on a day where you're practicing. You're still taking time to come on and chat with us. I just appreciate it. Open floor for you here.
Yes, that I love playing at the Jane, and our athletes love playing at the Jane, and we appreciate all of our fans that come out every night. And we had rain on our last day. We had a lot of rain, and they came out and they sat through the rain. So I know we didn't get exactly what we wanted this past weekend, but know that we're gonna get it. And just to keep coming out and being loud for us, because we love it. We love it. It's such a home field advantage, and there's nowhere better to play than at the Jane.
Makes a difference. For those of you that are watching the stream, Coach, just turn your phone around for us for a minute. I mean, this is where we're at right now, everybody. All right, Coach, coming to you live from the Jane. That's awesome. Coach, hey, it's the best facility in the country. Thanks for taking the time in between bullpen sessions. Oregon softball head coach Melyssa Lombardi joining us. Coach, thanks. Safe travels, and we'll catch up with you soon. All right.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Joey.
Melyssa Lombardi, Oregon softball head coach. When we come back, Nyara Sabally to the Liberty, another pro duck. Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
Dear gas prices, Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. That says it all. Toyota hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimates, CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Papa, why can't we telegraph while riding a horse?
Son, there ain't no one to blame but Jeffro. He was riding old Betsy the Stallion, tip-tapping away at his telegraph, when blam, ran right into the side of the saloon.
Well, if Jeffro can't do it, neither should you. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. My thanks to Melyssa Lombardi for joining us. Really, she went above and beyond, I got to say. Dealing with weather, doing it from the Jane, that was fun, catching up with Coach Lombardi. Nyara Sabally, the 5th overall pick to the Liberty. She's joining Sabrina Ionescu. I just want to go through a list for you, okay? And one, Kelly Graves, if you're watching the show, I mean, his reaction to the pick was just legendary from Mike Mosier. He put it out there on Twitter, just awesome. Well, you know why he's so excited? Here's the list of schools with at least 4 WNBA draft picks since 2020. Schools with at least 4 WNBA draft picks since 2020. Here's the entire list. Oregon. That's the list. That's the entire list, with Nyara Sabally getting picked by the Liberty. She becomes the 12th Oregon player to be selected all time and the 3rd in the top 5. Congratulations to Nyara Sabally. That's pretty darn cool. Another pro duck in the ranks. Love to see it. Dan Lanning, Oregon football head coach. He met with the media after practice today. Let's hear what the coach had to say.
Some good situational work in the day, some 2-minute scenarios, 4-minute, get the ball back, coming out with our offense and defense. Thought guys competed, saw it really go both ways, really evenly. Some explosive plays on offense, some good stops on D. Certainly a lot of room for improvement, but we'll open it up for questions from there.
With a chance to look back at the tape from Saturday's scrimmage stuff, anything more stand out to you on film that not at first glance?
No, not really. I mean, just there's a lot of work for us still to do, a lot of room for improvement.
Any update on Dante Manning?
Yeah, right now he has an injury, going through recovery right now. We don't think it'll be a long-term deal, but obviously we're monitoring it, and his safety's first.
What do you look for in your deep safeties? Like, what sort of skill set do you prioritize there?
I like them all. I like all the skill sets, right? Be able to play the ball, be able to run fast, be able to cover in the man slot, be able to blitz. So I don't know if you would prioritize one over the other than at the end of the day, we want to be great communicators, right? They have to be able to understand our system and get us in the right checks and calls and prevent explosive plays.
You're in the latter half of spring now. How much are you still installing that's new? How much are you reinforcing? What's the balance there?
Yeah, very little new install, maybe 1 to 2 calls a day, some situational stuff. But more than anything, we're trying to let our guys line up and play and get better at the techniques we want to execute. Maybe a little window dressing here and there, but not much beyond that.
When you were evaluating, when you and the staff were evaluating the running back position in particular, just because you were losing some really experienced guys who are a little bit less so or coming off injury, was who you're inheriting. What did you see from that group, in particular from Sean, who had obviously coming off injury, or Byron, who just had some limited opportunities last year?
Yeah, I think what you saw is that some limited opportunities. This spring's been really huge for both those guys to get an opportunity to go out there and compete. I think we knew what they had, from a talent standpoint before, but hadn't gotten really see them open up at this level. So they're seeing a lot more, snaps, a lot more carries, a lot more touches this spring than maybe they've seen in the past, and it's been exciting to see what they do with those.
How has Noah's addition into that room maybe
helped? Big plus. I mean, Noah's a worker. He's very explosive, runs really hard. Plays with a different type of effort, which is one of those things you don't ever want to spend your time coaching. You get to coach the details with Noah because he runs so hard and plays so hard.
Sean certainly had practice, but again, didn't play. So when you were looking even in practice film, when fans are looking at it going like they haven't seen a guy in almost 2 years, what have you seen in practice so far here in this spring, and what can fans expect to see in about 10 days or so of the spring game from a guy who they're excited about, but they just haven't seen him in a while?
Yeah, I mean, it's still a little wait-and-see mode, right? I think Sean's got great vision. He's got the ability to move in space, catches the ball out of the backfield. Just excited to see that all come together for him.
A couple weeks ago, Ty was really complimentary about Dante had stepped up. Dante Thornton had stepped up as a leader. Can you maybe speak to what you've seen from him in that regard?
More than anything, just Dante works. I think guys respect how hard a guy works. I think Dante would be the first one to tell you, hey, I know there's some things I want to keep getting better at. But I think that's one thing that Ty notices is how hard Dante works.
Talking about Coach Lockton a little bit. A couple months ago, we saw a video of the FaceTime you had with him where you got several of his former players on the phone to kind of talk about the job. What was that process like for you, and how meaningful was that to be able to have that experience with him?
Yeah, Locke was a guy that always stood out to me as a coach. Been a big fan of his for a long time, and more than anything, I've noticed how players respond to him. You can see, obviously, on that video, the connection that he has with his guys. And like we've said from the beginning, we're going to be about relationships and development, and Locke takes a lot of pride in having great relationships with his players.
Coach, what went into the decision to move Seven to wide receiver? Was it a joint decision, or was something triggered that decision like before?
We're always just going to take our players and put them in the best position to help our team. Seven's a dynamic guy that can line up, at wide out and line up in the backfield, and we want to be able to use him.
When you were searching the transfer portal for a wide receiver, what made you land on Chase Code as a guy for this program?
Ultimately, I think Chase has played in this league, has some serious, experience in this league, familiarity with this place and the place that he wanted to be. I think appealed to him, so it was just kind of a perfect match.
When you were looking at Bennett Williams and what he had done both at Illinois and here, do you consider him a natural box safety, or do you think he could also be a deep guy for you?
I think he can do a little bit of both. I definitely think, and like we said before, we're training guys at multiple positions, but Bennett's not a guy that can just play one spot, which his intelligence helps him with that more than anything.
We saw a lot from Byron Carter last year, but this year he's got more of a chance to step up. A lot of reps open up in that position. What have you seen from him, his growth over the past couple months, few weeks?
Today he had a couple dynamic runs that were really, fun to see. And that wasn't necessarily blocked the way that you wanted it to be, and he still made something out of nothing. And that's what I continue to look for from Byron is running hard, second level, second effort, pushing it down the field and then catching the ball at the backfield. I think that's something we really want to, see from him.
I haven't asked you much about a lot of the injured guys for the spring, for good reason, after a while, but with Justin Flo in particular, just because that was a fall injury about 8-9 months ago, just what's the timeline for him? Is there any chance he sees the field here this spring?
Yeah, he's trending back. I don't know. It's probably too early to say one way or the other if we're going to see him out there for the spring game, but he's trending back. We're getting him in a little bit of drill work each day.
What's it like for you watching those? You mentioned like 4-minute, 2-minute. In years past, you probably had a rooting interest when you were watching a drill like that. What's your perspective on situational work like that now?
It's practice for the players, but it's practice for me. So I'm sitting here thinking about, okay, when do we want to use a timeout, or how will we use a timeout? What's the situation? Is the clock stopped? Is it not? And just more than anything, me coaching the coaches and me coaching myself, opportunity for me to get better. So I'll go back and evaluate the film of our execution. Today our goal was to get a first down on offense. They did that in the 4-minute scenario, but then defense turned around and stopped them in 2 minutes, which is big. So really just trying to coach that for me more than anything, that same situation.
Can you point to a specific play this camp where it was just an amazing play in space, or anything that you just kind of thought to yourself wow, I get to coach this guy, or I get to coach this group?
I can't right now, no.
How do you think Triquez has made that move into the interior safety from outside corner?
Yeah, and Triquez, just like every guy that I've kind of talked to in the back end, he's playing a lot of safety, but he's a guy that'll play at corner for us as well, play multiple spots. I think Triquez has proven right now that he's one of our playmakers. He's a guy that can make plays in the back end. Certainly has room for growth, like every one of our guys do. But Triquez has done a good job of embracing that.
In your 9 practices with Christian Gonzalez, he came over from Colorado. What have you seen from him?
Competitive toughness. The guy plays hard. He competes regardless of drill. Very coachable. Doesn't say a lot, but does his job, consistently.
Adrian said the offensive line's not going to rotate nearly as much as they previously had another staff. He said that builds continuity and consistency with the group. Have you seen that start to play off with guys not rotating as much?
Well, we're still moving guys around right now, at least in the spring, because I think you have to have a plan in place in case one part changes, one moving part changes. So, we probably don't have the continuity we will when we get to game day, but I understand that thought process.
There's one a little off the beaten path, admittedly, but a couple of your support guys have put out this image of a new rendering of the indoor that had a couple of the outdoor fields still, so it was this. But fans got all excited about it because to do that, to have a second outdoor field with the new indoor would mean some kind of reconstruction over there. Are you aware of, is that real? Is that to scale, or is that still being determined?
I think the plans are still being adjusted as we speak, but yeah, there's plans to obviously still have outdoor fields here.
2 of them?
Last question.
Coach, during your time here, first head coaching gig, what have you learned about yourself as a coach, just being the overseer of a bunch of different guys, some of them you've worked with before, then some of them that you're new to?
Yeah, again, I think I've said this a few times. I just need to be myself, operate within what I know and the framework. I'm looking to be coached just as much as the players are. I'm looking for opportunities of growth for me. Right? I don't think I have it all figured out, and I think I hired some really good coaches here to help us get better. So it's a collaborative effort. It's not just me, it's our players, it's the whole group, and I'm enjoying it, man. I'm really having fun every single day going out there and competing myself, and then also seeing our team compete.
Dan Lanning, brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with cancer care you can count on. When we come back, look at acrobatics and tumbling, check in on men's golf. What's to come on the show tomorrow? Next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
You're not too cool for me. And in return, I reciprocate that sentiment. I'll never be too cool for you. I was a man with a plan, but now I'm a dad with a decree, and you can't take that from me. Please let it be noted that I told my job they can dock my pay. Right now, it's just too important to take you to school every day. I want to be legendary for you. I want you to puff out your chest when you go to school, the same way I do. I walk taller because of you, because I found everything to live for.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack in the Country Financial Studio. Oregon Acrobatics and Tumbling team has been selected as the number 5 seed for the National Collegiate Acrobatics and Tumbling Association National Championships. Let's go Ducks. Ducks will open up the championship run on Thursday, April 28th, 7 p.m., Matthew Knight Arena, Quinnipiac. I know it's Quinnipiac, but the reason that I say this, it's a little bit of an inside joke. Our former coordinating producer, Kate Hughes, famously corrected me live on the air because I think I said Quinnipiac instead of Quinnipiac, and Kate calmly was like, Quinnipiac, while on the air. And I think it might be the only time that I've ever actually gotten Kate's voice on an OSN broadcast. I tried for years afterwards. Here we are. Quinnipiac, though. That's who the Ducks will open up against. A win over the Bobcats would send Oregon to a semifinal matchup against the winner of top-seeded Baylor and number 8 seed Converse. This will be Oregon's 11th consecutive appearance in the NCAA National Championships, and the Ducks have won it 4 times. They've earned 49 individual event titles in their past 10 seasons. Oregon also holds a winning overall record of 18-6 in the NCAA National Championship. Tickets are available. Go to GoDucks.com. Men's golf, Western Intercollegiate. We'll have an update for you more tomorrow. Tough day on the course yesterday. Casey Martin went so far as to say, quote, "The wind and pins made it the toughest day I can remember as a coach." That puts it in perspective, doesn't it? We got more Oregon football interviews tomorrow. Carlos Lachlan, he's loaded into the system now, which means we've got that leading off the show tomorrow. See ya.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. Build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, so can you find a cure? Invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM.
Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana.